Do you want to use that as a transition to talk about Elon?
Yeah, let's talk about another asshole. So maybe that was hopeful. Yeah, we have to talk about Elon Musk, who I've been saying to folks here. I don't think that Elon Musk is in Austin as much as like he's saying that for tax reasons. Like I know he owns property, and I know he's building that disgusting gigawatt truck factory nearby, but the dude is definitely not here. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not waking up on a Monday morning drinking his coffee out here. But he is trying to make a big splash in the state of Texas. And I wanted to talk about this story, one, so we could remember how much of a pig Elon Musk is. And also, I don't have it set up for you, Matt, but maybe I could send it to you, those kind of Twitter spats we were talking about pre-show. I'll pop it over to you in a second. But here's Elon Musk, who is, basically using the state of Texas as like a sandbox now for all of his attempts at basically being the great space Noah of our generation. And it's a good reminder of the fact that Elon Musk, as much as he tries to present himself as like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and I stand on my own 2 feet, he is a glorified government contractor and is very much reliant on the state for his future success. So we have this up here about Elon Musk in Brownsville, Texas. So Elon Musk went on Twitter and just told the entire world, including the mayor and all the people in this town, at the same time as he was just basically telling everybody else that he's going to invest $30 million in Brownsville, Texas. 20 million of which, if I'm correct, is to education in the city, and 10 million is to revitalizing the downtown area. So let's get a couple of things straight here. Brownsville, Texas is a city in this country, like many other cities in this country, that is very much in need of money to undo years and years and years of systemic abuse, years and years and years of capitalist exploitation. But in Brownsville, Texas, there is an added layer, which is this is a town in South Texas. It's on the border. It's not just like, oh, it's like 40% Hispanic. It's like 85, 90% Hispanic, right? Which means it gets underfunded by state budgets. It's a town that is very much, feeling the ebbs and flows of the U.S. carceral state when it comes to immigration. This is a part of the country that in, a hopeful society, in a Bernie Sanders administration, for example, in a Green New Deal situation, would be receiving significant amounts of cash. And what we're seeing right now is this kind of capitalist like mirror room where now Elon Musk is promising. Again, also, I don't even want to give this guy credit yet, just knowing his history with promising big things on Twitter and following through.
Yeah, he's a impresario basically.
Yeah.
Like he's a publicity stunt artist to the extent that makes it easier for him to get funding. And it makes it really easy for him because cities will break, like we saw with like the Hyperloop bullshit, right? Yeah.
Well, that's the point here. So basically, just to put the cards on the table for folks who are listening, Elon Musk is saying he's going to invest $30 million in the town of Brownsville. $20 million will go to the schools, and $10 million will go to, revitalize the downtown. And again, I'm not against money coming to people in that community. What I am worried about is this person who is essentially using this as a way to buy a desperate town, because Elon Musk ain't doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He's doing it because he is building up his holdings in the area to test his rocket launching and spacefaring facilities. So he's doing something like this to potentially get goodwill, or more likely, so that they don't ever involve themselves in his activities. This is somebody who left California because he was against them putting in the most modest protections for workers in the middle of a global pandemic. He left that facility Sorry, he refused to follow the instructions of the state in that circumstance and endangered the lives of his workers there. And he wants to do the same thing in Texas. And his bet here is that the dysfunction of the Texas state government and the local governments here, and in particular, the impoverishment of the people of Brownsville, will allow him to do whatever he wants there. And he won't have anyone to answer to. That he can create essentially a company town. That ain't something that is good. It's something that is absolutely disgusting, and it should be understood as such. It should be understood as this, not like so. Like if he gives them the money, right? That's a problem because he's basically trying to buy goodwill so that he can do whatever he wants. But what is far more likely, he is using this to get a lot of buzz, and then we'll say, oh, well, over 20 years, maybe I'll invest, $20 million in the area, right? Or he's trying to make sure that he can get some low wage workers in the area who have some kind of basic job training through the school system, right? It's just like there are a million different ways as to how he's using it. And I'm not sitting here saying I know exactly what's going on, but this is not some kind of good, oh, he woke up on Monday morning. He said, oh, it's time for the people of Brownsville to get a fresh start. This is somebody trying to buy and curry favor. Yeah. This is somebody who has too much fucking money and a shitload of money that was made because of not just contracts that he has with the government, but also because of direct purposeful policy from the Federal Reserve and our federal government to prop up people like Elon Musk at the expense of people like us. These are questions certainly of worker power versus capitalism, but these are also questions of democracy. Do we want some asshole from South Africa who made his money out of a family fortune of blood emerald mines, right? Who left California because he didn't want to he wanted to skirt around basic protections for workers to make sure that they didn't contract the novel coronavirus, right? And they came to Texas because he thought that people here would be too stupid and too desperate to say anything about him. Two fucking middle fingers up to this asshole, man.
Yeah, we don't know his exact plan and motive, but you can probably reduce it to he's going to profit from this somehow.
He's trying to buy the city. He's trying to rebuild the old 1800s style company town thing,
like Lowell, Massachusetts, or whatever.
And Austin's, Austin's a tough town because there's so much big money coming here. But Austin is not a city you can buy like you could potentially influence Brownsville. Right. So he's making the decision here that, I can put enough money in Brownsville that I can, because it's an underfunded city. It's a city that needs a lot of resources that it's not getting because of capitalism, because of racism, because of all these different factors. And he's saying, this is a part of the country that I can do the goodwill thing here and then just take advantage of folks down the line. Yeah. And Matt, you have this good internet stuff here because it's worthwhile pointing out with Elon Musk too.
Well, introduce this Onion. Well, I guess I'll just put it up here. So the Onion did a how the richest person in every state made their money thing, and Elon Musk, Texas apartheid. Elon, shame on you.
You gotta do it slower. Wait, you gotta do it slower for folks who aren't getting the joke. How did the richest person in each state make their money? And for all the other states, they have like a paragraph or whatever. But for Elon Musk, they have the very terse apartheid.
Yeah, let's see if we have some other. Yeah, right. That's hilarious. I mean, the Onion can occasionally do some pretty radical stuff. It's interesting that's what's funny. Maybe that's just.
The Onion's not bad, man. The Onion does some really funny stuff.
I also want to share these two images, one from a Skeletor and one from Optagon in our Discord. This is the one from Optagon. We've got some Bumpsteer animations here. So here is this. I really like the timelessness of this, the simplicity and the pen ink art style. It looks like something that it could have been written on a napkin in 1906. And then we also have this one from Skeletor, which is a little bit more of a comic. We have a little bit. We can actually zoom in on this a little bit. We got Bill Gates up here saying it's not child slavery, it's early occupation development. um, and the cow, yeah, Bumpsteer of the week there. So yeah, thank you to our
Beer.
two
Yeah.
artists there. I love that stuff. Really tickles me.
And they're great. And the reason we're doing that is because this segment is called the Bumpsteer of the week.
Yep, the bum
Um,
steer, which, as we discussed, is both can be a cattle term in terms of you gave
yeah.
me a bad steer, or a bum steer of a ship. So we conceptually marry those two, and now we achieve unity. And
And I appreciate the kind of additions to these drawings because I was making sure that folks know that the steer is a bull that's got their nuts cut off, right? So like that's the kind of terminology behind a bump steer is that they can't have babies, and they're going to be they're not going to be the bull of the herd or anything like that.
interesting. I wonder if the word steer, like steer into,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
interesting. All right, enough etymology. Let's maybe take some Discord questions, and then we'll
Wait,
get
wait,
back.
wait, wait. Before we go on, you got to
Oh
do
yeah.
this last thing with Elon Musk with the onion because it's very funny. Um,
Oh right. The
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Pull this up. So they had the onion joke, which is like is funny enough. But this like insanely terminally online nerd who is like, that's the thing. The reason Elon Musk is so frustrating to deal with is like not only because he is just like a capitalist villain of our time, but he is just a creature of the online swamp. Um, and look at his response here to the the onion. If you could read it, man, I can't read it off your
Yeah,
screen.
he says, "Shame on you, Onion. This is why people are switching to the Babylon Bee," and he adds the Babylon Bee.
Which
Uh,
also the Babylon Bee sucks. Like the Babylon Bee is not funny. I'm the first person to like think conservative humor is funny if it's on point. The Babylon Bee is extremely try hard shit. And honestly, I bet you like a big part of their success or moderate success is because they have morons like Elon Musk like pumping them up all the time.
yeah, like their jokes. Honestly, the one I remember is upon the landing of the Mars rover. It was Elon Musk greets Mars rover. Like with an advanced civilization, like he was already up there,
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, welcome." It's like, no, that's exactly. He's not doing that. He's not capable of that. He's not remotely capable of what NASA is capable of. Yeah, I'm also
So
sick. Can I just say I'm sick of the fucking up and down rocket trips, right? Like I'm so sick of having to hear about how that's this fucking thing I should be awestruck by. Like that. This is just this is like a logistics feat. What people
mm,
weren't surprised, weren't thrilled by the actual moon race because of like the efficiency that they did it with. They like hit a
they went to
fucking
the
golf
fucking
ball
moon. They
and
went
hit
to the
it.
moon,
Yeah,
Bubba. Like
and hit a fucking golf ball around. It's not like, oh, this is actually going to save X amount on every time we send something to space. I
no.
don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm sure it is going to be nice. Like that's not going to my bottom line. And they're crashing and blowing up all the time anyway. So it's like, well, I mean, where are these? Yeah, I'm just like literally. You're asking me to get excited about something that's just going to save FedEx's bottom line when they eventually go into space shipping. Like, I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck about landing a rocket backwards.
I think you're 100% right. And I know we need to move on, but I also just want to remind people of something. And it's been something I've been reminding folks, personally lately about Elon Musk. Do you remember that shit? Was it in Thailand where those poor kids were stuck in the cave?
Yep.
And Elon Musk gets himself involved in that. And all the divers and people who are actually doing the work of protecting and helping these kids out. Elon Musk creates a submarine that they did not need nor ask for. And then when they say, hey, this is not helpful for us helping out these children, he then slandered the divers who ended up saving the children and called them all pedophiles.
Literally, yeah, implied they were pedophiles, calling them sus. Which, like, bro, if we're talking about sus, like, You're the one who's getting upset about connections to apartheid being drawn. Like,
Yeah.
your family is
And
sus,
he
my
had no
guy.
evidence, and he said it was coming. He's like, it's coming, like the
And
reckoning, like Papa John, kind of thing, like the reckoning will come.
he got sued for that. I mean, and yeah, the funny thing is, just fast forward, is there was two things that were happening there. Either he had information that that guy was a pedophile and he was sitting on it, which is insane, and which
Yeah.
but also like semi plausible because of his connections to like massive private spy firms like Palantir or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, look, I don't know if he related to Teal, but like a rich guy having access to information, like, or hiring people to dig in, like that's notable. Or he's just slandering the guy and making shit up, which it turned out he was doing because he
Yeah.
got sued and didn't have any evidence, and he said he was joking. Which, like, I remember that tweet. And I remember not thinking, "Oh, that's a funny joke." I think, "Oh, that is definite slander." And I am someone who does not like that. I don't like libel law. I don't like people
Yeah.
being sued over speech. I think it's dangerous. At the same time, you can't be you can't be a very
You can't
rich
be saying
man.
shit like that, bro, because they didn't want your fucking toy summary that you made. Like
It's
that's the thing that's so
unbelievable.
crazy about this stuff. I know, like if this goes public or whatever, the Elon stands, we're not convincing them, but for the general person in the public, this dude is an insane narcissist. And we did a lot on TMBS talking about all of the ins and outs of why this person's a problem. Maybe check that out. But honestly, if like you are in 2021 spending your time trying to defend somebody who made a shitload of money while you suffered over this past year, I don't know how much work or like how much I can provide to you to build that bridge for you to understand why this guy is a villain.
Yeah. I think the tide's turning. I gotta say. Well, I
I
guess we'll
hope.
see. He's being more like. I mean, there's a less
There's been
bipartisan.
so much pathetic shit with him in Austin.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
like I was telling you this before we got on, because there's like, especially for like older Texans, it's like, oh, we're finally being treated like seriously. That like one of the wealthiest people in America wants to come and live here, and not realizing he's playing you for a chump.
Yeah.
He wants to come here because he knows that the government here is not going to treat him like they should, right? They're not going to put restrictions on him to make sure that he doesn't expose all of his workers to serious harm from a massive global pandemic. That they aren't going to come at him for environmental damage. Like he is not coming here because he started listening to Guy Clark and he's like, oh man, I love Texas poetry and the Texas way. He's coming here because he's like, oh, they're not going to tax me and they're going to let me fucking destroy the state for my own personal profit. And he thinks you're a chump.
Yeah.
Like he thinks you are a chump and you should be pissed off. And like if you are a good Texas nationalist, right, you should be pissed that Elon Musk is here. You should not be happy about it.
Word.
But you can drop that for now.